Hi, welcome to Unpaid Film Critic. It's been a while. I know I know a lot of stuff has happened. Right now I'm in between filming different stuff for fun. I've been making reviews for I think almost a year. We're we're approaching the celebration when I made my first Welcome to YouTube channel. I can't believe it's been a year already. Almost a year. I'm just loving the idea of it. I'm so happy that you guys gave me a chance to make a filming platform like this, because it's you guys. You guys are the ones who keep me going in life. I've been working so hard on my filming. I'm improving. I am making more content, so that is something that will be going on more. You will be seeing more fan made or myself, me and the cameraman filming stuff. Don't worry about that. Filming will not be going away. I will be doing some gaming reviews. I have a gaming review, not a channel, but a review for some games coming out. I will be reviewing, my next review will be a video game, so don't worry about that. Yes, I will be reviewing video games as well. Don't worry. I'll give you a sneak peek on that at the end of this video, but without further ado, let's get into my review. Hi, welcome to Unpaid Film Critic. It's been a while. And yeah, so the film that we'll be reviewing today is a film called It. It's a very interesting film. I really recommend it for the Halloween season, especially the second one as well. It chapter 1 and It chapter 2. I will talk more about in chapter 2 later, but in chapter 1 takes place in Derry, Maine, in the 80s in the summer, and it's about a group of 7 kids. It's basically Stand By Me with horror. Now you're asking me, why did I make that analogy to Stand By Me? Well, think about it. It's a group of friends, and they all go up against Pennywise, which is the villain, the clown. He lives in the sewers, and he takes the fear of your worst ever fear. Ooh. And that's the most scariest part, because he can be anywhere. It's all in your mind. Yeah, the film is great, excellently shot, excellently shown. I mean, the film itself is just good. When people say, oh, nowadays horror doesn't really scare you. Well, I mean, what is scary? I mean, what I like about horror, what I think would make a good horror movie is horror movies that pay into the unknown. That you don't know what's real and what's not when you're watching it. That's what makes things scary. And for that film, it's all about it's all about the idea of the film that's scary, not the actual film itself. I think that this is how I've gotten over some of my deepest, darkest fears. Like clowns. I do have a clownphobia, or did. I watched it, and that somehow got the fear of clowns out of me. I'm not scared of clowns anymore. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm able to watch it, so I don't know what you call that. But I think that film is great. It's well shot. Really great. The film takes place in Derry, Maine. Yeah, I know. Stephen King. He loves shooting his stuff in Maine. But yeah, the film is great. I mean, you really get to see these kids struggling with the adult situations, which I won't really go into because I don't know if some of that stuff is school or YouTube appropriate, but let's just say that there's some parts of it where you're like, damn, these kids really had to go through that shit. And that's which is way more interesting. is a very interesting idea on that. Another thing is that this film is rated R, and it's really great. Bill Skarsgård does an excellent villain. I mean, he's able to capture the abnormalities of him, and that's very scary. And how it's like, main, and like you're seeing his body doing all this sort of stuff, and you're like, wow, no stunt double, like he really did that. Like that is the most interesting part of this film, and how this film really creates himself. Really is a very violentized film, and it's very great. I think all the kids did great. Did great. Yes. But a lot of people say it was really good, and I was like, yeah, it was good, but it kind of reminded me of Stranger Things just because it took place in the 80s. I would have preferred if they just copied the book, put it in the 50s. I just think, why not just stick it to the book? Don't try to make it more modernized. Because, like, we always try to modernize the 80s, and it works some areas, it works good in others. But it's not that great. I really prefer the 50s version of the book because of some of the horror of the classic monster movies that they add in, and I love that part that they're adding in the monster movies into the films, which I love. But that's on the book. On a scary factor between part of book 1 and part of book 2, they made a lot of changes to the book. There's a lot of scenes in the book that are not YouTube or school appropriate that I think you've probably known about it. Let's say those are not in the book. I mean, those are not in the movie. Those are in the book. But I really prefer the book to the movie, in my opinion. Yeah. Well, I'm really into the book because I read the book all throughout quarantine. I had nothing to do, so I read the book and then rewatched all the 2 movies. And I really think that the 80s kind of made it much more like a Stranger Things, but for adults. And that was okay, but it could have been better. I don't really, I just prefer it that way. Now, to go into part 2. Well, how do I describe part 2? Part 2 takes 27 years after the previous film. So I just described you and gave my review of the first film. Now I will be doing the second film. Yeah, I know, we're doing a back-to-back, all in one shot. I know, haven't done that before, but I will do it today. Because it's nearing Halloween. So yeah, going back to in chapter 2, which makes 27 years after the events in chapter 1, 2016. Pennywise gets them the eating people, and they cut. The first part of the book is straight out of the first part of the movie is straight out of the book. I was surprised when they did that. I didn't think they had the balls, but they did. I was surprised. What else was surprising was that the film itself was so interestingly made, and how it added to that sense of you're an adult, but you're still getting flashbacks to your years as a kid, and it dives into the subconscious of like when you don't remember things as an adult, and then they come right back to when you're an adult, how it can mess you up and stuff, and realizing all that was just so spooky and terrifying, and it was really good. I mean, it's a 3-hour-long film, so that is good. I would have liked a longer one. And what I would have liked is an addition where they basically just made it like a book movie where, so in the book, the beginning scene after the opening scene, Mike actually calls up all the losers, and then they all get different flashbacks. They don't have any of that in this book. They do in the and the TV for main TV show of it that came out before these two films. That one's much more. A lot of that stuff that happens in that book is actually they actually had to cut it because it was made for TV, but there were some things in the book that didn't really branch into this show as well. But I really liked how they tried it in that. But I wish that they did that. But what I'm just saying is that It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2 are great films. Going back to what I said in It Chapter 2, I said that how it talks about the terror of it, of being a kid and then growing up and then still having to deal with the backlashes of that stuff and how bad it can be. And yeah, it can hurt. What I didn't really like about It Chapter 2, the bad guy, he didn't really. I mean, not it. Not Pennywise. Pennywise was actually pretty good in this film. It was how they defeated it. How they defeated it in this book was kind of weird. I mean, it was interesting. I think this did much more better than if any of you are thinking how it. I think it would be as much as you can without sounding crazy, because the ending to the book is actually much more crazier than that. So yeah, I mean, and that has been my review of the two movies. Don't worry, another one's coming out soon.